into the court, in the gambling court, after she had been so-called won in that by Duryodhan in that Dut Kida. So she was wanting to know whether she is not a free woman, and everybody was pulling her leg, mocking her. Karn, in fact, suggests to her that, look, your husband are not able to take care of you. You better select somebody else and abandon them and live with, and abandon them and live as a wife with somebody else. इस तरह की बात हो रही थी उसमें कर्ण ने और भी उसको कहा when ये बात होने लगी कि she is dressed only in a cheer, a single piece of clothing. Then Karn remarked, what if she is dressed only in a single piece of clothing? A woman who has 5 husbands is an unchaste woman anyway. So had she been in the nude also, it would not have made any difference. On this, Arjun, if you recall, he got up very angry and he wanted to settle scores with Karn there itself. But Yudhishthir told him, no, sit down. So chupchap baith gaya wo. Similarly, then Duryodhan, as you recall in the story, he bears his left thigh, pats it, and then he says, come and sit on my, come and sit here. On that, Bhim got very angry. He got up and he said, I'm going to break your thigh. When he said, sorry, he got very angry and he wanted to again attack Duryodhan. Yudhishthir told him, no, just keep quiet. So he also sat down. But he said, I swear I'll break your thigh. Arjun had told Arjun that Arjun told Karn, I'll kill you. Now, the question which I wanted to pose to everybody, it's not that either of them had made a wrong move or had something that was not true. Karn, when she said that she's an unchaste woman, that means she's a prostitute. As per the definition then, and a woman who beds with more than 4 people was classified as an unchaste woman or a prostitute. So Karn was, in fact, did not make any wrong statement. Similarly, Duryodhan, the right thigh is the seat of the daughter. The left thigh is the seat of the wife. So when Duryodhan patted his left thigh, it only meant to Yudhishthir that he wants to make, it was a suggestion to, or a proposal to this newly acquired slave to wed him. Now, whether this thing was, so the question which I wanted to ask everybody was Arjun justified in getting angry and threatening, or rather swearing to kill Karn, because Karn had not made any false statement. Similarly, what I wanted to ask everybody's opinion, I will come on the WhatsApp group, whether Bhim, when he got very angry with Duryodhan for bearing his thigh and asking her to sit upon this on his thigh, because he thought that she, as per Bhim and as per Arjun, both of them, they thought that they were insulting Draupadi, which was not acceptable to them. So whether Bhim was right in challenging him or rather swearing to break his thigh. And number 3, whether Yudhishthir, he did the right thing in asking them to keep quiet, knowing fully well that they were all slaves. So he had thigh, but they also knew that neither of them had made a wrong statement. Whether Yudhishthir was right or not, and all those people who were keeping quiet, whether they were right or not, and whether Arjun was justified in getting angry and threatening to and wanting to kill Karn, and whether Bhim was also justified in getting angry at Duryodhan and wanting to break his thighs. These are 4 questions which I wanted to ask and maybe discuss also. But anyway, since I'm a little late, what I'll do is this time I'll put it on the WhatsApp group and there request everybody to give their own decision, or what they feel personally, whether he was right or wrong. Now, justification देने की जरूरत नहीं है. No, people need not give any justification, because we all know the story, and everybody will be having some reason. but even if you give a justification, kindly make it very small. ये post मैंने किया ना, I have not yet posted it on the WhatsApp group, but I'll post it maybe today or tomorrow. Then I'll request everybody to respond to that. Yeah, there are certain issues which I wanted to bring out, which, like I said, because the thought occurred to me only very late, I could not do it. In fact, this was triggered by a post which was sent to me by Vishu, and I've asked his opinion, and he has, of course, frankly given that. So similarly, in a one-to-one this thing, not on the general post. Okay, so that's what I propose to do, and I'll be doing it in the WhatsApp group. Picking up our thread from previous talk, we had come to the point when, having lost the Dyutkida, and they suddenly woke up to the atrocity that was committed upon Draupadi when her sari was being pulled out, when she was being stripped. And of course, it is not that an attempt to make stripping was there. That's not true. Actually, she was being stripped. That they could not strip her is another issue. But stripping तो उसकी हो रही थी, साड़ी उसकी खींची जा रही थी, and all efforts were made, no effort was left for stripping her and rendering her naked. But that she could not be rendered naked or stripped completely is another issue. So उसमें उसके बाद इसके बाद when they woke up from the atrocity which was committed, then Dhritarashtra, on the advice of Vidur, he restores all that he had lost in that gambling, and he tells Dhritarashtra, no, he tells Yudhishthir that you can go back to Indraprasth without malice, with all your things that you had lost. You get your kingdom back, you get your slaves and everything back, all the jewelry you lost, everything is restored to you. So when they set out, and when they left, after they left, Shakuni, when he came to know, immediately said, "Oh, what a chance we have unnecessarily lost. Beautifully we executed a plan and defeated them and got all their property. Now they'll go back again." So he managed to get the Duryodhan and told him that, look, now it is better to call them for one more round of gambling. Otherwise, they will come back and attack us, and then we'll be in trouble. So Duryodhan immediately went to Dhritarashtra and told him the same thing, that you have restored everything to them. They've got their weapons back. They'll come back with a vengeance. So it is better to call them again for another round of dice, and then we can decide what's to be done. So immediately his Dhritarashtra, whose fears had been stroked, he sent the slave after these chasing Yudhishthir and party, and his brothers and Draupadi who had left for Hastinapur. The slave very quickly managed to reach them and told them that your uncle has invited you back again for another round of dice. Right or wrong is another issue, but Yudhishthir said that, okay, this is what God willed it, there's nothing I can do about it. So he turned back and went back again. This time, excuse me, this time, Duryodhan, having his course leveled with Draupadi, he merely said that, okay, we'll just have one throw in which whoever is the loser, he will hand over all things to the winner, all his property and kingdom to the winner, and he will go on a vanvaas for 12 years. And after that 12 years, he'll go for 1 year on an agyatvaas. And nothing more is required, and nothing more is to be betted there. So with that kind of stakes, they sat down again, and again, Shakuni, who had complete command over the dice, crooked dice they were, he managed to defeat Yudhishthir once again. And this time they were really, all their kingdom had been lost. And then Duryodhan told them that as per the stakes, you now all of you, the Pandav brother and their wife, they have to go to vanvaas for 12 years. And in the 13th year, also, they have to go on an agyatvaas. So these people, Yudhishthir, his four brothers, and uh, Draupadi, dressed only in deer skin. They said you can't be wearing anything other than deer skin. You're going on a vanvas. Those dressed in deer skin clothing, or rather deer skin, they set out on a vanvas. And Arjun, he sent word to Subhadra, who was there with Abhimanyu and Draupadi's five children, five sons, one from each of the brothers. So the six sons plus Subhadra was told to go to Dwarka, to her Maika, what they call. So she left there, and all these six people, five brothers and Draupadi, they left for the Dwet forest. Dwet forest, where they're supposed to spend 12 years in Vanvas and 1 year in Agyatvaas. Vanvas, what is Vanvas? One means forest and Vas means dwelling. They to live as forest dwellers. Not only as forest dwellers, they to live in forest dwellers as hermits, dressed in deer clothing and living like hermits. इसका significance है ये दोनों का, अज्ञातवास का and वनवास का. Vanvas now, in spiritual terms, a forest is that place where there are wild animals. But in spiritual terms, it means the wild animals are not outside you; they're all within you. So there are all kind of temptations. These various kind of temptations there. They are the forest, and your body itself is supposed to be the forest. And within you, you've got all these temptations are there. They are the animals, wild animals, which they attack you. These temptations, जितने भी हैं, lust है, greed है, anger है, hatred है, jealousy है, selfishness है. All these, numerous traits are there. So these are the animals that they roam about in the spiritual forest, from which you have to save yourself. Also, as hermit means you have to all the time be thinking about God. Then comes agyatvaas. Agyatvaas, normally we understand living incognito means nobody is able to recognize you. But that's not what is meant here. So you see, if you go back a little into the story, after the crowning of Yudhishthir, when he had been declared that he is the crown prince, he was sent to Varnavat. Varnavat pe Duryodhana got a house of Laksh or Lak made, in which he planned to burn him down. But Vidur came to know about it, and he sent a miner who dug a tunnel from the floor of that palace of Lak, or a house of Lak, right up to the river bank. And very quickly, then as soon as that tunnel was dug, that miner whose name was Takshak, he goes and tells Yudhishthir, this is what your uncle has asked me to do, which I've already done. And he has said that you better escape from here before you are burned down. And this was the plan of Duryodhana, was to burn it down in this house of Lak. Before Bhim could act, before Duryodhana could act, Bhim decided that no, we should escape as early as possible. So that night, he got his mother Kunti and all the five brothers into the tunnel, and then he set the house on fire. In that fire, as unfortunately, they were parting. That Prochan who had built this house, he was parting with some of his family members, in which incidentally or coincidentally, there was a lady there with five sons. So when the house caught fire, all these lady and five sons, their guests and Prochan, they died. When news reached Hastinapur, they found that all the six have been killed, and they assumed that it is Kunti and the children. Now here, when they went to the forest, they decided that we live without anybody come to know, in disguise. They not only lived in disguise in that first of all in that village called Lake Chakra. Forest में जब गए, वहाँ भी they were in disguise. From there, they went to Kampilia, to Draupadi's Swamvar. There also they were in disguise. But in all these places, they were not called Agyat, because they were in disguise nevertheless. So what is the meaning of agyat? Agyat, इसके लिए आपको और पीछे जाना पड़ेगा to understand that. When this was the children, 100 of this, the Dhritarashtra's son, 100 Kauravas plus 5 Pandavas, 105 children were there with their guru, Dronacharya, in his Gurukul. So there, after 12 years of education, normally it was expected they had gone for Brahman, they would have understood, or at least intellectually, they would have understood there's something not only like God, they would have got enough knowledge to understand Brahman. But Brahman to chhod do, they had not even understood that there's some power more than them. They all thought, all of them, all the 105 of them, except Arjun, they all believe that there's nothing like God, like there's nothing like another power. All that is there, that we are there, and that's all. And the earth and the universe is there. It was like the atheist kind of policy, or what we call the Charvak line of thinking. Other than us, there's nothing. There's no power, no God, or nothing. So when they were in that state, then that was the time when what's his name, Dronacharya, after the games in which everybody had shown their proficiency, he says, give me a Guru Dakshina. In that Guru Dakshina, he tells Duryodhan, and the same thing he tells the Pandavas also, that normally I ask for a go as Guru Dakshina, but the circumstances are different. I want you all to go to Kampilia, fight with Draupadi, and bring him back a captive to me. Now, Dronacharya asks, when he says that I normally ask for a go as a Guru Dakshina. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that he's asking for a cow. The students did not have any money at all. So, well, the question of giving him a cow is the Guru Dakshina. What he was saying is that you have to demonstrate. Go also means scriptures. It also means your senses. So it means that either demonstrate your ability by reciting one whole scripture completely, recite karke batao and explain the meaning. That's one way of understanding or taking Guru Dakshina as go. And the second is to control your senses, because go also means senses. So exhibit or demonstrate your complete control of one of your senses. So this is what they wanted. But he says this is for an advanced student. You people are so, of course, he didn't tell them that. But what he understood, what he implied was that you people are so low down on the spiritual ladder. You people don't even understand that there's something other than, there's some greater power other than you, which is not known. That power is what I want you to understand. But since you don't understand that, I want you to go to Kampilia and defeat Draupadi. Draupadi is what is Draupadi? Draupadi is one who is firmly rooted in the belief that he is everything and there's nothing beyond that. He is not in the stage of duality. So usko jab hara dega, if one of these princes, or either Kauravas or Pandavas, they were to defeat him, it would mean that now they accepted that there is some power which is greater than them. This is what he wanted to do. And that is how they were at that stage, at such an elementary stage. So in this agyatvaas, after the vanvaas, it only meant that they have to spend life in contemplation and understanding of what the Brahman is. Whatever they could not achieve during the stay at Gurukul with Dronacharya, they are now required to pursue that further. So having lost, it was the turn of the Pandavas to spend 12 years contemplating upon God, and then after the third year, get into agyatvaas. Now, agyatvaas kya hai? Agyatvaas is a further study, not just living incognito, but agyat means one who is unknown. Not just living like unknown people or people who could not be recognized incognito, but living with God, or living with the understanding that this is God and this is how we have to understand Him. So that is what was agyatvaas. Anyway, when the party of the five brothers and Draupadi were leaving for the Dvaita forest on that vanvaas, naturally the town people were very unhappy. A lot of them accompanied them. When Kunti came to know, she wanted to join them also. But Vidur said, no, no, you are too old. The conditions there in the forest are not suitable for you. And let them go. They're all young, so they'll be able to manage. But you come and stay with me in Hastinapur. So he prevailed upon Kunti, and Kunti stayed there in Hastinapur. But while going, she calls Draupadi and and tells Draupadi that, sorry, just excuse me. So she tells Draupadi that, look, Sahadev, who's the youngest of the lot, is very young and he'll not be able to take care of himself. You please look after him. You have to give special attention to him. Now, you see, this Sahadev was one of the five brothers. Although he was the youngest, he was still, it was not that he was also married to Draupadi and he had a child through Draupadi. So it was not that he was very young. What does this mean? This also is another metaphor. Like agyatvaas, this is also another metaphor. What is this metaphor? Metaphor means that there are five brothers are there. All of them represent certain divine traits. You've got Yudhishthir, who represents truth and honesty, truth and righteousness. Then you've got Bhim, who represents hunger for God or yearning for God and perseverance. Then you've got Arjun, who represents flawlessness, and purity, selflessness, and no, he was absolutely flawless. Then you got Nakul, who represents alertness and focus. And finally, you've got Sadev. Sadev represents awareness of God. So in Pancho traits may, what Kunti, the sage, meant that among all this is the awareness is the one which is the latest one which every spiritual aspirant suddenly journey pe jata hai. So awareness he gets awareness of God very, very late. And this is the one which is very weak. And very quickly that awareness is lost. So Kunti tells Draupadi that don't let awareness, don't you lose awareness. Now, it is not that she's telling Kunti all these things is happening within us. It is that Kunti is the sage within us, and Draupadi is the human being, also the human traits or the human qualities within us. So we as humans have to be very careful with awareness. Awareness, the moment we start becoming aware of God, we have to be it has to be nurtured and not allowed to dissipate very quickly. That's what that metaphor really means. Anyway, when they went to the forest, in the forest, again, Dwet forest mein, a lot of people accompanied them. The place was very cool, the forest was comfortable, there was stream close by, everything was there, everything looked beautiful. And very quickly they made themselves comfortable in spite of all the hardships and difficulties. There was a problem of feeding all these people. Sorry, excuse me. There was this problem of feeding so many people. So Yudhishthir prayed to Lord Surya, and Surya gave him what they call an Akshaya Patra. That Akshaya Patra was a golden vessel which would remain full until Draupadi had her meal of the day. Now, you know, as hermits, they are supposed to have only one meal a day, not 4 meals or 3 meals or 2 meals or not even 2 meals. You are supposed to have only one meal. One meal, matlab, automatically, it was a magical vessel which was given to them by Lord Surya, given to Yudhishthir by Lord Surya, so that it would remain full as long as Draupadi had not eaten her meal of the day. So with that, the problem of food for whoever accompanied them was solved. And of course, the rest they will manage. Now, yeah. when they were living there, the just a minute. Okay, when they were living there at that time, there was a sage Durvasa who decided to go to Hastinapur because he had heard that Hastinapur pay you got the best of the meal. The food was given to them was very very delicious, and he said, "Okay, let us go and try what kind of fare they give to their guests." So he went to Hastinapur. Now, say Durvasa was very well known for his short temper, and when he reached there, uh, Shakuni told Duryodhan that, look, you better be careful because he's a very short-tempered sage and you have to give him the best, very best, so that you have to give him the very best of the food so that he goes from here satisfied. But so accordingly, Duryodhan told Shakuni, his mama, who was his chief advisor, that look, alone I will not be able to manage. You please also be with me. So between the two of them, he ordered the best of the food from all of the places from the kingdom, whatever they could get from, and this best of the food was offered to say Durvasa and his retinue of several followers, disciples uske bahut sare the. They were all given the best of the food, but somehow the although they seem to be eating very well, they're not entirely satisfied. And the Shakuni, he could guess that he is not satisfied, and he thought, what should we do? So an idea struck him. He said, why not we send them to the Pandavas? So he goes to Durvasa and tells him that we are very sorry that in spite of our best of our efforts, we have not been able to please you with all the food that we have given to you. We hear the Pandavas, who, although they live in the forest, they have managed. They really feed their guests exceedingly well, and I'm sure if you go there, they'll be not only be delighted, you'll be able to. They'll be serving you the best of the food. This way, Shakuni thought that when Sir Durvasa is the uh, diverted to the forest to be among the uh, sorry to diverted the forest to be the guest of the Pandavas, and certainly they will not be able to get such good food as we have managed to provide them. It will serve them right, not only serve them right, but it will be kind of punishment to these people also, and maybe when he gets angry, he curse the Pandavas also. So with that idea, Shakuni decided, told Durvasa. Durvasa immediately said, yes, yes, that's a very good idea. Let's go to the forest and be guests of the Pandavas. इसमें this, of course, is hardly a metaphor, but the little thing is that when the time arrives, that time within these people, all things are happening within us, you know. So when we are in the spiritual practice, when you go on a spiritual journey, when you go into the forest within yourself, dressed in deerskin, and you are attached to, and all the time contemplating upon God, then that time a stage will come when all these material things will not be of, they will not interest you at all. You will be, even though it's the best of the food, the best of the clothing, the best of jewelry, best of all of the material things, it will not satisfy you, and you'll be looking for something else. So you'll be looking for some food, food. Uh, Food means not the literally food, but you'll be looking for spiritual food, which will give you solace and peace. That is what is meant by this little episode. Anyway, when Seth Durvasa reaches there, the Pandav brothers had all left for the forest from where they were supposed to get their whatever they do there. And Draupadi was all alone. And it was past noon. Now, since they all used to have only one meal a day, normally by noon time, everybody would have their meal. And Draupadi would thereafter finish her meal. And the moment she would had her meal of the day, then the Akshay Patra which was there would get empty, and this she would clean the pot, that patra pot, and place it there. When the say Durvasa arrived with his retinue of disciples and said that we will be having our food, we'll have lunch with you. And she was little, perplexed because she didn't know from how will she serve lunch. There's no arrangement. The patra is also empty. Now it will get filled early next day. So but Durvasa said, okay, well, we'll go and have a bath before we come for lunch. And when we come back after bath, that time we'll have lunch. So with that, he left for the sage and his retinue. They left for the river to have a bath. When she was all alone, she didn't know what to do. So she prayed to Krishna. Krishna, please come and help me. So the moment she prayed to Krishna, Krishna somehow, as usual, materialized in that to before Draupadi. And Draupadi said, Krishna, am I not happy to see you? Every time that I'm in a problem, you are able to you come to my rescue. Then Krishna says, of course, what are these friends for? If the friends can't come to a rescue of their friend, then there is no friend at all. Tell me what's your problem. So she says that, look, I've had my meal of the day and the Akshay Patra is empty now. There's nothing in the house. And what am I going to feed them? How am I going to feed them? Then he said, what did you have for lunch? So she says, I had rice preparation for lunch, something like khichdi. Okay, then where's that vessel? The vessel, as I've already cleaned it and placed it for on the shelf. There's nothing there inside. He said, just bring that vessel. So when she brought that vessel and gave it to Krishna. Krishna examined it very carefully, and he found that under the lip of the vessel there was a small one grain of rice was stuck there. So Krishna took that grain of rice and ate it with great pleasure, and it filled his and he was satiated with that grain of rice. The moment he was satiated, immediately Durvasa and all his retinue of so many disciples, they also felt as if they've eaten everything and their stomachs were completely full. Then, so that he is not embarrassed when he goes to Draupadi and Draupadi spreads the banquet before him. So he thought it better to escape before without going back to Draupadi. So from there itself he went away without coming back to the Draupadi and asking for lunch. Now this again a little bit of metaphor here, not very this. See the meal of the day when it says that Akshar Patra remains full up to until the last meal, until the lady of the house has her meal, means that you don't. Akshay Patra was there is a vessel through which, in spiritual terms, you are connected to God, and that is the Akshay Patra now, and you are connected to God, and you can ask Him through that whatever you want. So that is what eventually all the spiritual people are aspiring for. When you do meditation or when you keep silence, etc., you're trying to connect yourself to God. Yog हम लोग कहते हैं. We say that you can have Jnana Yoga, you can have Karma Yoga, and you can have Bhakti Yoga. All these three paths are there to connect you to God. So Akshay Patra, with Akshay Patra, you're directly connected, that the spiritual practices were there by which you are able to connect to God. So that was that Akshay Patra. Now, that it becomes empty. Empty means you throughout the day you don't have to be, doing these spiritual practices, which are really either meditation or chanting or singing or reciting God's name or jap kar rahe hain, or maybe listening to stories or maybe having a satsang or discussing about God. These are all the spiritual uh, uh, food which you get from the Akshay Path, and because of which you get connected to God. So, but this Akshay Path, this food, etc., you don't have to consume throughout the day. Once your quota of the day is over, whatever practices you're doing, yeah, 3, 4 things you may be doing, when those things are over, then you can relax and you can do your other day-to-day chores or whatever else you like. That was the meaning of a little bit of that metaphor. Now, Krishna, having taken that grain of rice, He felt saturated. What does this mean? That means it takes Krishna is saturated, or the Lord is saturated with a little bit of love, genuine love. He does not want anything else. The only thing that he wants from us is genuine love. And the genuine love, even if it's a small, tiny bit, he'll be satisfied with it, just equal to a grain of rice. He's satisfied with it. Yeah. So, anyway, so when Krishna was given that grain of rice, this metaphor means that in order to satisfy God, in order to satisfy, you don't have to do lots of things. You don't have to, you know, loudly sing or chant or show up anything. All that he wants is some genuine love. A genuine love can be as tiny as a grain of rice. With that, he'll be satisfied. Now, when this Durvasa had left without taking his lunch, and when the brothers came back in the evening, then they said that, look, we are living in a forest. In the forest, we need weapons. We can't be left all alone. We will not be able to fight. So they urged upon Arjun to go to get weapons from the god. Arjun said, all right. First, he said the best place is to start with Lord Shiva. He is a Bholenath who can be easily pleased, and he's got the most powerful of the weapons. So Arjun went to Mount Kailash. When he went to Mount Kailash there, that time Lord Shiva was not there. Somehow he happened to be away. So Arjun found himself all alone and said, okay, let me sit down and start meditating. And he sat down and he was meditating for quite some time. And Lord Shiva, who's omniscient, who knows everything what's going on, immediately found out that Arjun was waiting for him, and Arjun had been meditating, and he was very pleased with Arjun. So he went before him, but he said, "Nevertheless, let me give him a test." So he went there dressed as a uh, tribal warrior, tribal fellow, a tribal hunter, and there, uh, before the two of them, he arranged by his power, mental power, a boar to come before Arjun. Arjun took out his bow and arrow and shot a arrow at that boar and killed him. When he reached there, Arjun saw there was another arrow also. It stuck to him. He was wondering whose arrow is this. Just as he was wondering there, Lord Shiva Lord Shiva, disguised as a hunter, he also reached there and said, "Oh, I've come to claim my boar." Arjun said, "No, no, this is my boar. I've killed him." So there was a little bit of talk, and then this little turned into an argument. And after that, they both started fighting. Arjun was a very capable and good fighter, but whatever he did, Lord Shiva, that tribal man who was there with him, in front of him, he seemed to be able to counter it, and he appeared to be stronger than Arjun. Then Arjun realized that this is no ordinary hunter; he is somebody else. So he joined his palm before that hunter. He said, "You are certainly not what you appear to be. Pray reveal yourself to me." Then Lord Shiva, he turns out and says, "Yes, I'm Lord Shiva. I am very happy with you. Tell me, what would you like to have?" So he says that I've come seeking for weapons. What are these? Lord Shiva says, "Okay, I'll give my prize weapon, Pashupath." And with that weapon, uh, he acquired that weapon and is on his said that, okay, after this I'll have to go on the next lap of journey. Let me take leave of you. With that, he took leave of Lord Shiva and came and waited for and then proceed on the next lap of the journey. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue from here next time.